Hello, YouTube. I just got finished watching a movie called Trial by Fire. I guess it was a Lifetime movie, whatever. YouTubers on a roll, they getting a lot of Lifetime movies. And this movie was just so good. And then the previous movie was so good too. I mean, they just really good. Twisted Desire with Melissa Joan Hart. I watched it twice, baby. It was so good. But this movie, Trial by Fire, was very well written, and it kind of leaves the audience like, because I was reading up on it, and it's kind of like you have to draw your own conclusions because the victim in this committed suicide, so we don't really know what happened. And his friend said that he did have sex um, with this woman who was a teacher. So I really wanted to talk about this because I used to be a para, and I actually had a history teacher that was inappropriate with students as far as like comments that she would make about the male students. She was very obese. She didn't have friends her own age, and we were like 15, 16, and she was like 21. She was actually the niece of the principal, and she was friends, which I think is very inappropriate. She was friends with my friend and was even a part of the bridal party. My friend decided to have a destination, like she decided to get eloped, but you know, I just think that it's inappropriate for a teacher of any age to be friends with their students during or after. It's like, why you don't have friends your own age? That's just weird. Um, and then like with this movie, it was just unfortunate because and I wanted to talk about that a little bit. Like, be careful who you feel sorry for. With Twisted Desire, it was just such a good movie because it talked about this guy. He actually really loved and cared for this girl, and he had a record, and she used him to kill her parents. And so he felt sorry for her because she actually was lying that she was getting hit by her father. She was amping him up. The father did try to get him arrested for rape or whatever. That part was true, but basically she amped it up so he could kill her parents, and because he felt sorry for her. And then in Trial by Fire, the teacher felt sorry for the student, and I just wanted to briefly talk about that. Like, um, she was, first of all, she hung out with her students, and lucky for her, she stopped teaching. They actually took her certification and license away because it's not what you do, it's how you do it. Now, she was found not guilty, but the reality is nobody knows what she did because the victim killed himself like weeks after or whatever. It's unclear why he committed suicide. There were some questions that I felt like they should have asked the mother more questions, because people just don't kill themselves out of nowhere, you know. Also, she was at this particular student's house. His name was Kip. And how did the mother not know that this woman was in her house? She went to his house because she felt sorry for him. And that part is understandable because she thought that she could save him, I guess. You know, he had emotional issues. Um, he had a crush on, and I wanted to briefly talk about that. Regardless of what industry you're in, regardless if you're a teacher or not, if you know that somebody has feelings for you romantically, it is up to you as a woman to set boundaries. And sometimes you could get sucked in, whatever, but you have to set boundaries. You have to let them know, like, hey, if you have a student come into your classroom every single day, you have to cut that, because they're gonna that's basically leading a person on. And when I'm watching it, they're talking about the interaction she had with this student. She led him on. He would say inappropriate things. She never put her foot down. um she would say things to him that was very misleading. um she would be like, oh, this side of you, I like this side of you. da da da, you know, kind of flirtatious. It could be interpreted as flirtatious. Um, and she did lead him on. She did make him, even though it wasn't nothing physical, but obviously, if somebody feeling you, they have a crush on you, why would you be spending so much time with them? Why would you be, you know what I'm saying? Like, if y'all are friends and he's your age, even then you should limit the time you're spending with the person if you know that that person's romantically interested in you. You know, it's different if you go into like a birthday party. Um, you know, if they have, you know, what, something like that, right? But one-on-one dates, or whatever you want to call it, coffee dates, and you're going to his house and you're in his room, who's not gonna think that something's going on? You know what I'm saying? It's like, what are you in his room for? And the mother, they should have asked her more questions, like, okay, so when this woman came to your house, did you know that she was in the house? Like, my whole thing with Paulette, this lady, when he was calling you to come over, why you didn't call his mother? Why you ain't say, yo, put your mother on the phone, I want to make sure it's okay with her that I can come over? She didn't do that. So that's the part I don't understand. And you have a lot of people that just have weird social skills, that just, at the time she didn't have children, but that's still not an excuse. Your student is calling you to come over to his residence. You as an adult should call the parent. Perhaps the parent doesn't want company. Perhaps the parent doesn't, you know, that was just weird for her to. And she said in the stand in the movie, oh, I'm a teacher who cares, and I cared, and da da da. That doesn't make sense. Like, you should have called the mother. What's wrong with calling? And then you have a lot of teachers and people like that. Even you have teachers that will say, and I think this is very rude and strange, they'll say hello to a student, but they won't say nothing to the parent. Even in church, sometimes they'll want your child to participate in something. Your child could be 8, 9 years old, and it happened to me. You know, with my son, he was 9 or 10 at the time, and they used to do that all the time. It said, excuse me, if you want him to be a part of something, you call me. I'm his mother. You know, and as a teacher and you're working with children, you need to include parents in everything you do. And if you don't, there's something wrong with what you're doing. You know? So, we don't know if sex actually happened between her and the victim, you know. But what we do know is she was inappropriate, and his friends said that they saw through the window some intimacy going on, right? They don't know what really happened. Only God, the deceased, and her. She says she didn't do anything, so she was found not guilty. I was surprised that she was found not guilty, and there was 3 witnesses, his 3 friends. So I don't know, but it's called Trial by Fire. It's a very good movie, and it's just a lesson to people. You know, she also, one of the students came forward and said she was telling her personal business about her marriage to a student. Her husband really loved her, because there's no fucking way. Like, first of all, I could never be dating someone, let alone married to someone, that's involved with their job too much. I don't care if it's teaching. I don't care if you have customers, clients. You should never, there should always be a boundary set. Always. Like, no. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, if you doing for your students, it should be a group of them. It should never be one-on-one. It should be like, and I was thinking about that. I was like, you know, like if you're a coach and you teach basketball and they win, naturally as a coach, you might say, hey, let's go out to dinner and have some mocktails. You know, they kids, so they can't drink. Let's go to Applebee's and celebrate. You know, something like that, and you pay for it. Nothing wrong with that. Or when I was going to church as a kid, my youth pastor, we went to the movies, he would pay for it, or to dinner with it. Nothing is wrong with that. But you should never be by yourself, try to get, like, like with my youth pastor, the assistant youth pastor was always there, so nobody could say no bullshit of, oh, he did something to me. No, he always had the assistant youth pastor that was right there, as you should. And as a teacher, always have your coworker to come along, because these kids lie, right? I think an appropriate song for this movie would be "Fuck Them Kids." Yeah, because kids lie, and them kids possibly lied on her in Trial by Fire because they didn't like her. And that's the kind of world we live in, unfortunately. It doesn't matter what industry you are, it doesn't matter what color you are. When people don't like you, they will lie on you. It happens to the best of us. And so, but the good thing about liars, they're always found out. So my thing with liars is don't give the devil ammunition, right? She gave the devil plenty of ammunition. She was in his bedroom. She came to his house twice at night. Um, you know, the mother didn't say yay or nay. The mother didn't say if she knew she was in the house or whatever. So yeah, so this woman, Paulette Gill, whatever, she never went back into teaching. She actually went to law school. It didn't say if she finished or not. But I hope she learned her lesson by not sharing your business with children. Like, just watching the movie, I'm like, she really had a problem. I feel like she probably was like, something was wrong with her. Because people who talk to kids like adults, it's something wrong with you. Seek help. Like, for real. Like, my son that I birthed out of my poom poom knows nothing about my relationships that I've had with my exes. Not at all. Why? Because I have common sense. He's my child. I don't care how old he is. I will never sit there and tell my son or any child. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's just lack of social skills. It's lack of boundaries. And it's very common amongst women who don't have friends. Like, it's this movie, Trial by Fire, she had a husband, but she didn't have friends, right? It is nowhere in the movie it said that she hung out with friends, women her own age. And what people don't realize is, we live in a society of I don't need friends. Yes, you do. Like, you need at least one or two people that's your age that you could vent and talk things about. Because when you venting out to children, she needs help. Like, yeah, she, this is years and years ago, but I hope she really, like, sought help, sought counseling, something, because that doesn't make sense. And even her husband got on her, like, why the hell would you be telling a student our marital issues? Like, who does that? What? And you got women who do that, that are married, and they tell their marital problems to their children while they're still children. And when the children don't want to be their friend, they resent them. And I feel like with this teacher, she probably was like that. Like, I was thinking about that. I was like, so what if you had a student like me that was like standoffish, like looking at her like, because that's how I was. Like, I thought the teacher, my history teacher, we all thought she was a weirdo. We still think she's weird. And then when you look on her Facebook, post high school, she always posts like people that we went to high school with that she actually hung out with and had a social life with them. But she didn't have a social life with people her own age. All of us, we post our friends, we going to the club, we going here. When she would be going out, it would be with students. It was never, like, she didn't have friends her own age. Like, why you don't have friends your own age? Like, it just doesn't make sense. So I feel like people like that are weird and they need to seek help, but that's just my personal opinion. And there's a lot of teachers like that. Like, I remember working in a DOE, and there was one particular lady, she was actually older than me, and she was like in her 40s, and she was like, oh, her students that are grown, she tells them to call her Simone, and she's like, yeah, I'm friends with my former students, and da-da-da. And we just listening to this, and we like, huh? Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, do you not have friends your own age? Like, No, it's not appropriate. It's not cool. Like, no, it's wrong. Boundaries, people don't understand that. But comment, like, and subscribe. What do you think? Trial by Fire is a very good movie. And Twisted Desire with Melissa Joan Hart and Alec Baldwin's brother, Alexandra Baldwin. He's a really good actor. He's in it. That movie is really good. But be careful who you feel sorry for. She felt sorry for him, and he was the one that actually spread the rumor about them being intimate, and she didn't know till after the fact. But it's like, you're in his bedroom for what? And then you bypass his mother. Because if you thought something was wrong and you're knocking on the door, I just, that part I don't understand as an adult. Like, it's not like you're his classmate and, talking to his mom will be weird. But as an adult, you should be talking to his mom if something's wrong. Like, that doesn't make any sense. And then they said that in court. Like, why didn't you refer him to a social worker? Was there not guidance counselors in the school? Why are you trying to be his shrink? Are you licensed in psychology? I would have asked her the same question. Like, are you licensed in psychology? Like, are you licensed to counsel? No, you're not. You're a teacher. Stay in your place. And this is why you're in the situation you're in. And it's like, watching movies like this is like, this is why people don't trust people with their kids, because it's like, you doing too much. Like, do your job, clock in and clock out. Why is that so hard for people to do? If you're not a licensed counselor, you should not be counseling people. And it's that simple. It doesn't mean that you don't care. It doesn't mean that you're not a caring person, but it's called boundaries. It's called limitations. It's called, you have a life. Why are you hanging out with children past school hours, taking them to the Chinese restaurant, coffee dates? Why are you not doing that with your colleagues? I'm so confused. Like, a big high school like that, you can't find one girl to talk to, one friend, one colleague to sit down and have coffee with. You gotta have coffee with your students. That just doesn't make sense to me. It gotta be at least one person in the building, at least one person at your job that you could sit and talk to as a girlfriend, chit chat, you know. But yeah, comment, like, and subscribe. I'm happy she learned her lesson and never went back to teaching again, because that's not for her. Like, hopefully she went into law. She went to, law school and everything, and she learns to have boundaries with her clients, because this is not just a student teacher issue. This goes into any industry that she goes into. Like, you have to set boundaries. You don't sit there, even with clients, regardless of whatever, you don't sit there and tell a client your marital business. I hope she doesn't do that, as a lawyer or whatever she seeks out to do. But yeah, very good movie. It's a must-see. Trial by Fire. It is on YouTube. It probably was on Lifetime, and then like Twisted Desire, it said Lifetime Movie Network on the corner. And then another movie called Friends Till the End. Oh, that is so good. With Shannen Doherty. May she rest in peace. She was such a good actress. But it talks about a girl from her childhood that she competed with that came back to avenge her. So she sleeps with her boyfriend. She put something in her drink to make her sick so she couldn't come on stage. It's such a good movie. You gotta see it. So comment, like, and subscribe. Friends to the End, Twisted Desire, and Trial by Fire. All on YouTube from Lifetime. They on a roll.